I'm Lee at Iridium. Hope everyone's doing all right. Before I start with a review, just a quick plug for my live stream tonight, 8 p.m. UK time. We're talking about the best albums of 1988. So it'll be a good show. Please join us. Just so you remember, while you're watching this channel, just go on to the link and you'll set a reminder for the live stream tonight, and I'll see you there. Right, cool. So review time. Now I've got the cat annoying me as usual. Nothing new there. So, but before I start, I want to talk about this. I hope you can see that okay. You know what that is? Apart from something that's very cute. That's an elephant. We need to discuss the elephant in the room. Now, I wouldn't be able to do this review without that. It's been discussed in every review that I've read of this album, and I need to discuss it, get it out of the way, although the subject is going to keep coming back during the review because we can't help it. It's just one of those things. Because we're going to talk about the new album by Icon of Sin. So, self-titled album. And the reason I'm mentioning the elephant in the room is because the elephant in the room is Rafael Mendes, the vocalist. So, well, not only that, the band itself as well. Now, they go hand in hand. You talk about Icon of Sin, you're going to talk about Iron Maiden. I can't do this review without talking about Iron Maiden for a few reasons. We'll get onto that in a minute, but I'll just tell you a few details first. Released April the 16th. So this Friday, I was meant to do the review straight away. I couldn't get around to it. So I've had a couple of days with this album, which is a good thing. On Frontiers Records, 13 tracks, 65 minutes. Quite a long album. The band is Brazilian. Rafael Mendes on vocals, Sol Perez on guitar, Mateus Cantileno on guitar, Keijo Vidal on bass, and CJ Dubiela on drums. So, right, so when I talk about Iron Maiden, anyone who's been living under a rock will not know. I'm sure all you guys who are into metal know about this band. So, Rafael Mendes is a great vocalist, Brazilian, and he had a YouTube channel. So he got quite big for a YouTube channel. And he has a voice that's very similar to Bruce Dickinson. Now, we've had singers in the past that sound a bit like Bruce Dickinson, but Rafael Mendes, his voice, if you close your eyes, you would think it was Bruce Dickinson. Simple as that. So the arguments would go on and on, whether he was born with this voice, whether he's doing an impersonation. Let's just say, I love his voice. I love Bruce Dickinson's voice, so I love his voice. Now, if he was lucky enough to be born with that voice, kudos to him. If he wasn't, and he's like doing the voice, you know, he's impersonating, if you like, good luck to him as well. I tell you what, because they are getting a name, this band. And when I put a video up on YouTube, now they've had 3 singles so far. Yep, 3 singles. They get the most views out of any song that I react to. Goes to show you, everyone's looking out for this band. I'm literally talking, they get 10 times as many views as most reactions that I do. So there you go. That just shows you, doesn't it, that people are waiting for this album to come out. People are excited. Most people don't care about the Bruce Dickinson style vocals from Rafael Mendes. But you're going to get some that do, obviously. People were very happy with him doing his YouTube channel, and it was like if Bruce Dickinson sang for Megadeth, for instance, and he'd sing a Megadeth song in the style of Bruce Dickinson. People were happy with that, even the Iron Maiden fans. All the Maiden fans were happy with that. But now it's a bit different. He's got a band. So some are acting a little bit different, but most are okay with it. And I'm one of them. I'm okay with it. I'm listening to this album as a separate album. You know, is it good or not? I'm trying not to compare it to Maiden, but you can't help it. Because you just can't, because it's just not Raphael's voice that sounds like Maiden. It's also the music that sounds like Maiden. So When I say it's, oh my God, my cat, I just want to strangle him. Anyway. So what you get though, you don't get the Maiden sound that you're getting now with Maiden's modern albums. You don't get the progressive nature of all their albums since, I don't know, probably since A Matter of Life and Death. They've definitely gone more progressive. The songs are very long, epic, Maiden, and I've got nothing against the new Maiden stuff. I'm glad they sort of went in that direction, but this is not what Icon of Sin sound like if you're going to compare to Maiden. They sound like a more stripped down version, Fear of the Dark type Maiden, and even I would say Bruce Dickinson's solo stuff, you know. So there I am comparing, because you can't help comparing. The elephant in the room is there constantly when you're talking about Icon of Sin, because that's just the way it is. You're not going to be able to talk about Icon of Sin without talking about Bruce Dickinson and Iron Maiden. There you go. So this was a project created and overseen by a guy called Serafino Perugino. I'm fucking shit at this. But he's a director of Frontiers. He put this band together. And, you know, he was snapped up. And it was only a matter of time with a voice like that, with a talent like that. And with all those, you know, YouTube, I don't know how many fans, how many people, subscribers the Rafael Mendes had in the end. But it was going to be enough to get a record contract, you know, at least. Because, you know how rock music is these days, rock and heavy metal, it's never going to be as big as it was. You know, and this band, I think before, as soon as it was announced, this Rafael Mendes was in a band, it was going to be something that people were looking out for, or at least all those people on the, you know, subscribe to his channel were looking forward to. So the album itself, like I said, a mixture of sort of Fear of the Dark, I would say, that sort of Maiden sort of sound with Bruce Dickinson's solo stuff, definitely. Not so much like the stuff you get in our Book of Souls, 11, 12-minute songs, you know, highly progressive. A lot of, and this is not a dig at Maiden again, but they tend to repeat choruses multiple times throughout songs. This is not what you're going to get here. This is sort of in your face Maiden sound, comes and goes. It's not, you know, most songs are like 5 minutes, you know, that sort of thing. Let's just run through the tracks and talk about my favourite parts. So it kicks off with Icon of Sin. Title track, second single. I like this song, I think it's great. Nice simple riff and melody going through it. I love when, you know, Raphael sings when he hits that higher register. And where Dickinson sometimes is stretching. You hear that a lot in the last few albums with Maiden. Dickinson, where he's getting older and the touring and all that stuff, it's going to affect his voice. So sometimes he stretches those high notes. Well, obviously Raphael's a bit younger, I'm not sure how old he is, but he doesn't stretch. He hits them with ease, just like Bruce did in the early days of Maiden. And that's, you know, he just hits them with ease, which is great to hear that. Icon of Sin is a great starter, kicking the album off. Next goes into Road Rage, not one of my favourites. Faster sort of song, more aggression in this one. This is where, like, Raphael also shows a lot of aggression in his voice as well to go along with that faster song. It's an okay song, but not one of my favourites. But next we have another single, the first single, Shadow Dancer. Really impressed with this one. I love this one. Really good choice for a first single. Sort of shows what they were all about from the beginning, if you know what I mean. So the chorus stays with you after the first listen even. And, you know, it's really catchy. So that's what they've got here. They've got where they're more into the sort of hits, sort of sounding Maiden sort of thing. It's not all about that progressive stuff. It's instantly with you, some of these choruses. Shadow Dancer is a great song. Next up is one that really doesn't sound like Maiden. So this is the first time you're getting something musically that doesn't sound like Maiden. Obviously, Rafael Mendes' voice is there, so it gives you that glimpse of him. But this is probably one of the least sounding songs that sounds like Maiden. So it's a nice change, if you like. So great heavy riffing that comes in and out of the song all the way through. You get a lot of twin leads in this, just like Maiden do. Like I said, catchy choruses. You get Rafael singing at a lower register, then peaking into the higher one with ease, remember. It's good. Like that's a great song, Unholy Battleground, because it gives you a different side of the band. Next up is Nightbreed, the third single. That's a Nightbreed nation, and the victory beyond Nightbreed. Catchy chorus, good choice of single again. I know there's another song out now. I think they brought it out with the release of the album. I don't know which one that is. I haven't looked into that, but I'm not sure which one it is. Great guitar melody in and out of the song as well. I like Nightbreed, it's great. The chorus is not one of my favourites on the album, but it's a good song. It's a good single. Next up is Virtual Empire. A great sort of technical riff kicking this off. These are all great musicians, by the way. It ain't just about Rafael Mendes. All the musicians do a brilliant job throughout this album. This is a more fast song, Virtual Empire, but the chorus sort of slows down. I love the chorus. I think the chorus is the best thing about it. So then we move on to Pandemic Euphoria. Very apt at the moment. Nice straightforward rocker. A real sing-along chorus, just like there are a lot of sing-along choruses out here. I'm not sure if this is going to be a live band, whether they're an actual band, whether it's just an experiment, whether it's just a collaboration of guys, whether they're going to go on tour when all this crap's over, I don't know. But they've got some real shout it out sort of sing-along choruses, which, would be good live for sure. Next up is the outstanding track on the album for me. So the highlight of the album, Clouds Over Gotham. So definitely the standout track, 8 minutes long, epic, interesting throughout, goes through lots of tempo changes as you expect from an 8-minute song to keep you interested. Great chorus as well, and it's got keys in this, and you don't hear keys much. Like I said, it's more of a stripped back sort of Maiden sort of sound that you used to get, Fear of the Dark-ish. Not so much No Prayer for the Dying, that's really stripped back, but Fear of the Dark was still stripped back to a certain extent. But there's some keys on Clouds Over Gotham, and it just elevates that chorus into a more epic feel. It's more about the atmosphere than it is them being the main instrument. It adds something to it. Clouds Over Gotham is the song for me on this album, the strongest song. Next up is Arcade Generation, fun song. Again, simple sort of riffing. So the riffing's quite simple, but they've got intricate guitar melodies going throughout the songs. But it makes a lot of this album really accessible for the listener. So that's great. Next up is a little instrumental, literally 25 seconds long. I think it's a sitar, like playing. Yeah, it's just one of those songs that's just really tagged on to the beginning of the next song, which is The Last Samurai. Fast verses, but again, a nice chorus that sort of slows down. And when you come out of fast verses and go into a chorus that slows down, it makes the chorus even more powerful. The slower parts are the more powerful ones. Next up is The Howling. Straightforward, fast rocker. Probably not one of my favourite songs, but okay. That's track 12. And track 13 is Survival Instinct, which is a really good closer. Nice twin lead parts kicking the songs off. I love it when he's going again. Mendes is starting on that low register, then kicking into that high one with those soaring vocals. Great closer. All I'd say is that, and this is the problem with a lot of albums these days from bands, 65 minutes long. That's going to be a bit long for some people. I think now 45 minutes is probably, there's a couple on here that were not my favourites, but there's never going to be all your favourites. But if they trim those off, I think this album would have been exceeding, and I think it's a good album, but it would have exceeded that. So, great first album. This is really going to divide people. You're going to have the staunch Iron Maiden fans that just don't want anything to do with this and just think it's a copy. Or you're going to get them ones that are more free and easy and think, you know what, it's like having a little dose of Maiden. That's what it's like. And, what I sometimes was thinking as I was listening to this album, what would fans think of think if they bought this album, if Maiden actually made this album and brought it out, what would their reaction be to this? I think it would be very split as well. I don't think a lot of fans would like the stripped down sort of version, you know, but you would get some that would be happy with that, you know. Fear of the Dark, No Prayer for the Dying, that sort of period of the band are some fans' favourite part of the band. So it's definitely going to please those Maiden fans, you know, who like that sort of stuff. Whether they actually admit it or not is a different matter because it's not actually Maiden. It's a difficult one. It really is. But like I said, the elephant in the room was spoken about quite a lot. Obviously, it's going to be, and it is throughout every review you hear. It wouldn't be cool if I didn't mention it. It's obvious. So there you go. I think it's a good album. It's solid. It's good for Frontiers as well. It, you know, gives them a different aspect of a band, having this sort of band with them. No, great album. Great album. Give it a listen. I'm sure you guys have listened to the singles anyway. Let me know if you've got the album and what you think of it below. I'll see you next time.